Okay, we're back on the air. Um, some of you are back, and some are just getting back. Good to see you again. Now, Tracy, you've sent me a chat. Did you want to say that to the group, or did you want to do something with that? Where are you? Tracy, are you actually? Yes, you are here. So do you want to speak up, or did you just want me to know that? Come on in.
Hi, can you hear
Hi.
me okay?
Yes, I can.
I'm relatively new to tapping, so I guess me actually speaking is a miracle.
Well, tapping tends to help people do a lot of things that they wouldn't think that they would normally do. The good thing about being new to it is you don't have to learn all those goddamn rules that everybody else is stuck on about how they should be doing the tapping and so on. So, okay. So, you had a reaction to what we were working on?
Very much so. So, particularly with Anant, I guess my situation is that I actually did go into my dream job, and it paid very, very well, and emotionally and everything I felt wonderful and was ready to do it. And I started and was doing quite well. And then, unfortunately, I work with some exceptionally unprofessional people who took great delight in bullying and harassing me.
Okay, so that sounds like a nightmare rather than a dream.
It was. And I kept thinking, I was very good at thinking that was their problem and not mine. However,
Are you tapping right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Um,
Because if you're
so
tapping while you're talking about issues, the tapping is getting in and helping the feelings to harmonize. Okay.
I started tapping in November, and I can honestly say it's been life-changing. So
Yeah, fantastic.
anyway, um, I got to the point, I put in grievances for work. I did talk to my manager, did all sorts of things to try and stop this bullying and harassment, and I was quite stunned as a professional that it was happening.
Hmm.
Um,
This is part of the problem too with bullying and stuff like that, is that we have such a strong denial of it or resistance it shouldn't be happening that we can't deal with what is happening. So it takes a while
yeah,
before you can get your head around this is actually really happening.
initially I thought they were joking. Some of the stuff was joking. I worked in a correction, so just to make it clear, I'm a registered nurse, and I worked in a correctional centre. So
Fantastic. That's such a
I
great.
expected.
That's generally that as a place to work is, yeah, just a really heart-opening kind of environment.
Well, people were stunned. Like, some people think, why would you want to work there? But I found it fascinating work. The work itself was fantastic, and I loved it.
Hmm.
Um, However,
Okay, but you got in with a bad crowd.
yeah, and it's a well-known problem there, and I didn't know that. And I guess somebody did try to warn me, and I had self-confidence, and
Yeah.
and I just didn't think that I would be affected. And unfortunately, by the time I realised that it was having a negative effect on me mentally, and physically, I felt trapped and I couldn't leave.
Yeah. Okay. So some of this you've actually moved on from and it's in the past, and some of it's still here. So it's kind of like is it a chest constriction or a heart constriction? Or, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I have resigned. And I've this week started a new position at a retirement village, so completely different.
Great. Yeah, yeah. You're back to where you can get good work done and get appreciated and be in a crowd where people value your services and stuff like that, yeah?
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay. So
yeah.
we're not sure, right?
No, we're not sure. So my goal, I'm still grieving this great job I had, and it was
Yes.
very good money, well
Okay.
paid, and
So just say I release all my emotional attachments
I release all my emotional attachments
to the fantasy
to the fantasy
of what the job should have been.
of what the job should have been.
So yeah, you've had all the bad things that have happened to you, but this attachment is actually to a something that never was.
Yeah.
And as long as you stay attached to that, you get to suffer. And that suffering is not the suffering caused by the bullies. This suffering is caused by the attachment to the should have been, or the beautiful job, the dream.
Yeah. If I was stronger, it wouldn't have happened. That belief that.
Oh yeah. See, so now you beat yourself up. Okay.
Absolutely.
But just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments
to bullying myself.
To bullying myself.
Over this job.
Over this job.
Because now you can create a fantasy that if you had done something, whatever, then everything would have changed.
Yeah.
Which you can't actually know.
I live in fear of happening again.
Yeah, of course. That's why you can't allow yourself to move into the job that you are with any real freedom to breathe and stuff like that. So just say, I restore the right energy flow to my breath.
I restore the right energy flow to my breath.
What's happening?
I have that cold feeling.
Oh, okay. So this is where you identify with Jan's cold. Where's the cold feeling for you?
Mine runs straight, like a wash straight over me and right down my hands.
Okay. So where's it? It's kind of through your body, through your head, through your...
It feels like it's like water just going, a bucket of water straight through me.
Okay. So just say, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To this cold bucket of water.
To this cold bucket of water.
Sometimes people, when they get a cold bucket of water, it causes them to wake up, So, but maybe you kind of got to see some things you don't want to see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But the problem is, by resisting them in a way, you end up now seeing them everywhere.
Yep.
So now you see them even where they're not, see? So now you can see anything that looks remotely like that, you're going to go, your primitive alarm system is on all the time, yeah? It's like a PTSD.
Yeah, I developed quite debilitating panic attacks.
Yes.
Then I had the fear of a panic attack.
Of course.
Yes. Not a panic
this
attack.
Is why I said you can have an emotional attachment to the emotion, to not having the emotion. And with anxiety, it's guaranteed, because it's the thing that no one wants to experience. And so then really you're suffering the fear of the fear.
Mm-hmm. That's where I say the tapping has been life-changing, because I was introduced it by a friend, and she sat with me for quite a while and showed me videos and things, and I started practicing it, particularly during a panic attack, and now I have had so many less, and I feel in control when I have one.
Yeah. One of the most empowering moments in my life was when I had a panic attack in the middle of a presentation to 150 CEOs and senior managers. Okay. So I'm like right in the middle of this thing, and I'm presenting away, and then I was like, I just lost what I was going to say next.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I don't know what to say now. And then I just felt the panic come up in me, and I could see everybody's like, what's going on, And it's like the feeling in the room was like rising up. And in the past, I just would have kept talking and stumbled through and, tried to do something and just made a mess of it. And because I had new tapping, I just stood there because I wasn't so scared of it anymore. And I just had the thought, I'm just going to wait until something comes to me.
Mm-hmm.
And this tension is like right up. And then I just stood there and then something came to me and then I just delivered it. And everybody's like, wow. They thought the dramatic pause, built up the tension and then just delivered this thing perfectly. And the lady wrote to me, she said, I've seen, 50 speakers present, and I've never seen anyone have such command over the audience. And I'm like, it's just a panic attack, So freedom isn't actually not having the panic attack. Freedom is actually first being able to have the panic attack and not die.
And then my next one is having the panic attack and nobody knowing I'm having it.
Yeah, well, they don't anyway. Mostly they have no idea. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I used to get panic over introductions, right, in groups. And when I went back to do my master's, they had this big room of about 60 people, all the PhDs and the professors and all the master students who were already doing it, and us, the new ones. And then you had to go around and introduce yourself. So this was like my greatest ever fear. And so I thought, right, I'll sit right next to the lecturer, so I go first and get over and done with. He went the other way. So now the panic is just... Anyway, back then, this was way before I knew tapping, and I just had to interrupt. I said, look, I'm sorry, I sat here because I was feeling so anxious about doing this. Would you mind if I get it over and done with and introduce myself? And they let me, and I just felt like a complete chump. And you're still tapping, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, because even though it seems like we're not doing anything, the tapping is in the background treating this. And anyway, so then I just felt really bad about that whole experience and really kind of humiliated and so on. And then, we started the course, and towards the end of the semester, I'm walking along with this lady and we're talking about things, and she says, do you remember that horrible situation where you had to go around and do the introductions? And I said, yeah. I said, I was so anxious. And she said, oh, anxious? I just thought you were being arrogant. And I thought, far out. There I was, completely thinking that everybody was totally aware of my overwhelming anxiety, and she just thinks I'm being an arrogant so-and-so butting in. And then over the years, I've realized you can be in a room full of psychologists and only, out of 60 of them, only a couple of them can tell you're anxious.
Yeah.
Because most people are in their own heads and in their own thoughts and in their own selfishnesses and what. But anyway, this is logical. So the illogic of the anxiety is everybody knows, everybody sees, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But behind that is, of course, the things that are triggering that, which is the kind of fear of being out of control, or fear of being abused, bullied, whatever, controlled, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Lake says his mentor, Enkong Tan, who actually supervised him in psychoanalytic therapy, which he did for a number of years. But this guy says to him, he said, some people, they push shit into you. Okay, so I'm going to get you to use a statement which is from logosynthesis. Okay, in regard to this thing that happened to you, and this is something that is in logosynthesis, which is also a process of using intention about what he calls the non-me energy. Okay, so just say I remove all non-me energy.
I remove all non-me energy
bound up in this representation of this bullying experience.
Bound up in this representation of this bullying experience.
From all of my cells.
From all of my cells.
All of my body.
all of my body
and my personal space,
and my personal space,
and send it back to where it truly belongs.
and send it back to where it truly belongs.
And don't try and make that do anything. Just notice, let it land for a while, and then just notice what happens.
I don't feel an overwhelming sense of it. I feel a bit of calm, actually.
Exactly.
Bit of calmer.
Okay, so there's obviously other aspects of this for you to work through, and you can do that with the tapping. But you can also take this intention statements, and it's also worth your while looking up logosynthesis, LOGOSYNTHESIS, logosynthesis. And if you put logosynthesis primer, 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 into a search, you'll find a well-written thing by Willem Lammers and Andrea Frady about how to use this logosynthesis. It works really well. And you can combine that with the tapping and also with the intention stuff that we've been looking at today. Yeah?
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. Okay, let's come back to gallery view. Now, if I change that view, did you all change to speaker view with me, or did you get to stay on gallery view? No. Okay. All right. So presumably you can change the view for yourself, and either you get to see the speaker who's speaking to you look more clearly, or you get to see the whole gallery of people who are here. I want to move on to Richard, who was my other volunteer who wrote to me. And then we're going to spend a bit of time on that. And then I want to come back to some kind of exercises related to the topic of this session, and leave you with some homework to go away with and stuff to do. And maybe we'll have a little bit more time to catch up on some questions and stuff too. But Richard, let me see what you wrote here, unless it's changed.
Well, yeah, I changed about not allowing, which is a big part of this, but actually somebody used the word last night, said you're a martyr.
A
And that
martyr?
really hit home. Yeah, that hit home, and it was a word I hadn't heard for a long time, and it's like that had big impact. And I'm tapping, trying to figure out where that ever came from.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you believe it's true, yeah?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when someone says you're a martyr, that really triggers, that hooks you.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a martyr for myself. I'm a martyr for other people. So.
Oh, what does that mean for you? What's wrong with that? Martyr is good. Don't you get 70 virgins or something? I mean, depending on your religion, you know.
Virgins are a myth.
Well, where you live, they are, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Here in sunny Ontario with all the snow.
You're tapping, right?
Yes, I am constantly. Somehow I feel like I have to sacrifice myself for other people.
Okay, so since you feel that, that's something that you've learned, and
Yeah.
let's just see if we can get into that. Just say I release all my emotional attachments.
All my emotional attachments.
To I have to sacrifice myself for other people.
So I have to sacrifice myself for other people. Part of this need is this need to serve.
Uh-huh.
That's part of my personality profile as well. So that's
Okay. So
yeah.
serving is good, but it goes beyond that to a neediness for you. So there's
Yes.
I suspect that service is actually a core value of yours, but
Yes.
it's got some what I would call toxic or negative aspects attached to it.
It's like needing to be liked or wanted by people.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like so. There's probably both are true. It's a core value. It's part of what you're here to do, but it's also got mixed in over your lifetime with if you do this, then you're going to gain acceptance, or you're going to be liked, or if you don't do this, you won't be liked. And what about burning in hell and all that kind of stuff? Because that could happen too.
No, I don't know fear of that. I think a little bit of this is just working for my dad because it worked for endless hours, but never heard the word thank you.
Okay. So just say, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To the thank you fantasy.
To the thank you fantasy. Yeah, that's in the bottom of my stomach there, a little bit in the bottom. Yeah.
Okay. And put your attention on that stomach feeling and just notice what it does.
It's kind of rumbling along, mostly on my left side there, but just like a fist kind of knot.
Okay. So just say, I release all my emotional attachments to this knot.
I release all my emotional attachments to this knot. It's moved up a bit, a little bit softer.
I wonder if you could say no to your old man. Say no.
No. that was not even a fantasy growing up.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. It's like no when you start ducking.
Yeah, exactly. So there was no question that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just say, I release all my emotional attachments
I release all my emotional attachments
to it's not safe to say no.
to it's not safe to say no. Yeah. Upper left stomach. Yeah.
So what's the laughter? I'm curious.
Well, it's the wry chuckle is like no was never even thought of as an option. You just did as you were told. That was it.
It's my way or the highway. Actually, it's not my way or the highway. It's my way.
Yes, perfect.
Because there is no highway.
No.
The highway is my way as well.
Yeah, he owned it all.
Yeah, okay. So just say, I release all my emotional attachments
I release all my emotional attachments
to Dad's way.
to Dad's way. Yeah, that softened up a lot. Still went lower left now a little bit. It's later. Yeah.
Well, there's also the fear of what will happen to you if you don't do it right. So what's that? Is it, you're going to get physically hurt? Are you going to get attacked
you obviously
emotionally?
you got yelled at a lot. So like I said, my good day was if I didn't get yelled at. That was a good day for me. So, yeah.
All right. So just say, I release all my emotional attachments
I release all my emotional attachments
to being yelled at.
to being yelled at. I just kind of have this vision of myself ducking. You're always kind of hunched, right? You just never knew when the shit was coming. So yeah.
So just say, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments
to being a boy who needs to duck.
To being a boy who needs to duck. Just there's energy sitting across the back of my shoulders there.
Yeah, so it can get kind of into our posture and it can get into all kinds of things. Yeah. So when you do this, you can kind of start to iron some of that stuff out as well.
Yeah.
So just say, I restore the right energy flow to my neck and shoulders.
I restore the right energy flow to my neck and shoulders. Still sitting a little on my left side here. So.
Okay. So just say, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To it's not safe to keep my head up.
To it's not safe to keep my head up. Yeah, you can feel it in my voice. I know you can hear it too. My voice is kind of shaking in there. So, yeah.
Okay. So just say, I restore the right energy flow to my voice.
I restore the right energy flow to my voice.
Well, you didn't have a voice.
No, not at all. No. It was pretty quiet.
Your voice was, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir.
Yeah. Not even that. Just do it.
Do it and shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the story about the guy who went into the monastery, and each year you're allowed 2 words. Yeah. So on the after his year, he says, bed hard. And then he has to go another year, see?
Yeah.
And then, then he's like, after his year, he's like, porridge cold. And then one more year, he says, I quit. And the head monk says, well, thank goodness, because you've done nothing but complain since you got here.
Yeah. Yeah, no words were enough.
Yeah. So just say, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To no words are enough.
No words are enough. Stomach, left side.
Okay. So the stomach is obviously, it's a key area for you with this thing, and it's going to keep, as I say, you go from that, and then you come back to that, and then you go somewhere else, and you come back to that, and each time you're getting another aspect. Each time you go through another part of your past and release the emotion caught up in that, that will free up a little bit more there. So just say, I restore the right energy flow to my stomach.
I restore the right energy flow to my stomach. Yeah, settle it down some, probably 50%. So.
Okay. So just notice the bit that's not settled.
It's like a golf ball right in the center of my left side there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just say, I restore the right energy flow to this golf ball.
I restore the right energy flow to this golf ball.
Sounds a little strange, but
yeah,
it's interesting what it does sometimes.
Yeah. Still there. Yeah, it's like a little knot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And just put your attention on that and notice what thought goes with that feeling.
Just feel like a word comes up like I'm stuck.
Okay. Yeah. And just say, I release all my emotional attachments to I'm stuck.
I release all emotional attachments to I'm stuck. Change shape more. That's, yeah.
So when you're doing this stuff, it can seem like you're not, doing very much. But if it's moving, it's good. Movement is life. And so even when things intensify, I'm actually happier with that than if they just stay exactly the same. And when you're dealing with feelings, they never stay exactly the same. If you tap and allow them to express in the way they want to express in you and go with that, it's just that we have a reaction to the feelings. I'm sorry. Carolyn's iPad is so distracting to me. I don't know what's happening there, Carolyn, but it just keeps going all over the place. Oh, man. I'm just going to switch that off for a minute for you. You can turn it back on later. Yeah. Okay. So you're still here, but it's just that movement is just kind of drawing my attention all the time. So, okay, what's coming up right now?
It's getting softer. Like I said, I just went back to releasing all my emotional attachment, being stuck in that. So it's changing shape, and then restore the right energy flow to this feeling on my left side.
Okay, so when you've done a bit of this, now come back to your original intention about what you want to do and what's your goal? What is it that you want?
Again, crafting my message as an EFT practitioner, looking at my target market, and I was talking to my person that's coaching last night, but it's like there's something blocking me from creating that the ideal market I want to approach. I mean, I could say stress, but stress where? How people are stuck. So I can't seem to break into where I want to define myself in that pinpoint position. So.
Okay. So, so when you think about doing that right now, I noticed some of the blocks that come up, you spoke them, but what's happening feeling wise?
I don't feel heavy about that. I just feel this wonderment of what, like, I mean, I've been out to one meeting so far that one of my friends is dragging me out to a meetup to try and connect with all like-minded people. So I had no trouble going out and speaking, and felt quite comfortable. So because there was no judgment, everybody has their own business, but so it's just a matter of trying to define myself and again, part might have been if I define myself, maybe I'm defining myself in the wrong way and nobody will even want to talk to me.
Okay, so there's the conflict. So just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To defining myself.
To defining myself.
In the wrong way.
In the wrong way. I don't feel that's wrong, and still that's left side of my stomach again. Okay, there it shows up. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's the indicator.
yeah. It's pretty. Yeah. Okay.
And just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To defining myself in the perfectly right way.
To defining myself in a perfectly right way. Yeah, that's a heavy feeling on the left side still. Okay. Even more. Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually a more dragging thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that thought of having to define yourself perfectly is a thing which has got some strong attachments, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so who told you had to come up with a perfect way of defining yourself?
I have no idea. I don't know where that's like, it's a silly statement because you'll never be perfect. You'll just have to, you'll have some aspect of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the kind of logical stuff that comes up. But obviously there's kind of part of you that thinks I have to get this right or else.
Well, I think if I get it right, then I won't be in shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you're currently in shit, yeah?
Yeah. Well, not now, but I mean, I keep thinking my dad, if I get it right, he won't yell. But it never happened.
Okay. Just say I release all my emotional attachments.
If I release all my emotional attachments.
If I get it perfectly right, he won't yell.
If I get it perfectly right, he won't yell. Yeah, it's a little bit on the left side. Yeah.
This world actually is a lot more forgiving than your father was, believe it or not. But while you're carrying your father thing into it, you have to look at it through the lens of that, and so you fear the same thing as if that would happen. And you can't look at how the world. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that are as bad as your father. For goodness sake, they are. But the good news about this is when you find out who they are, you can go to someone else,
Yeah.
They're not your perfect client.
I'm not
Unless you want to work on your issues with your father for the rest of your life. Yeah. Okay. So just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To the belief.
That
business is like my father.
That business is like my father. that moved to the right side.
left, right.
I just need a hula hoop.
Yeah. But this is okay because each time, it seems like, it's just, it's just going from one side to the other. But when you're doing that and you're doing it with the tapping and with releasing, each time is a little bit more opened up, And sometimes you don't totally get that until you go into the situation. You notice what happens,
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm good at chasing the pain, so I'm okay that way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, let's just pause there, and you just keep tapping and working on that, and we'll hopefully hear back from you at some point. And everybody who's worked here, I'd love to have you write to me. On the other group I had that, and I'm going to be able to give that feedback back to people who were there, so they know where things went to. Because sometimes you don't really know where you've gone until a day later, 2 days later, or sometimes not until 6 months later. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
If we have time here, we'll check in. So we've got about 45 minutes left. And what I'd like to do is just throw open the floor now for any questions, comments, reactions, free associations, objections, or otherwise. especially first off from anybody who hasn't spoken up yet or hasn't had a chance. I'm going to unmute you all just for a minute and see what happens. And then if anyone's got big noise, I'll mute you all back. Okay, so that means I'm going to be hearing an echo in someone's computer. Is that right? No. Okay. So, who wants to speak?
No one.
Well, Steve, I wanted to say I love putting the intention into body and releasing that energy. I just really find that really powerful. I do body work anyway, but just to put that focus there, I think it's a fantastic way of using tapping.
Yeah. Well, this is combining tapping with your own intention to your own subconscious mind to affect your own body energy flow. And it's, sometimes it's funny. It's like, for example, with tapping, you can imagine the tapping and have a good effect with that. Some people don't believe, it's like, that seems ridiculous. But in fact, it's easier to imagine you can get a remote control to get a television to go on than that you can use your own mind to influence your own body. The mind, which is capable of producing that remote control, for example. And yeah, so we can have an influence more directly, and I learned that from other techniques like Be Set Free Fast, synthesis, and so on. By the way, if you, I think that's your noise, Richard. You have to be quiet, boy.
I'll mute myself.
Just you. You're in trouble. So yeah, but I've also found that statement about I restore the energy flow doesn't work as well as often as the I release the emotional attachments, which are triggering that disturbance, if that makes sense. Okay. And sometimes if you haven't done enough work on releasing the things that are triggering that, you can't really get access to influence the flow as easily. Yeah. Okay. Someone else?
I find it really, really helpful to do the releasing on the feelings, because when the mind is not being particularly helpful or it zones out, it actually does the work anyway.
You mean the conscious
without
mind?
Me getting him, the conscious mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and this kind of bypasses that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in some cases is rather necessary.
Oh, it's always necessary, actually. The conscious mind is, this thinks it's in charge, but it's not really.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So much of what we do is unconsciously driven. And some of it's been hardwired into our nervous system by past experiences, so that we are, particularly if we've had severe trauma, we're now on edge or we're reactive or whatever. And so those programmed in reactions are designed to keep us safe. And they work in some situations, but in others they don't. In others they impair us when we see everything as if it's a threat, So I see someone's typed in the chat here. That was you, Sue. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying the feeling settled in your heart? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said everything I do filtered through someone else's potential and actual reactions and emotional input. So you're meaning that your stuff is influenced by other people? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
And so, as you were saying, about the constantly looking for safety, so the whole system's on alert. But if you're actually tapping or releasing on just the feelings, then you can actually do the work without overthinking and over-engaging the mind and getting it wrong just for a change.
Yeah. Someone wrote to me and said that the intention process for one of her friends, it was like the stick that you could put to stop the ever-whirling cog of his mind.
Yeah.
What a great metaphor, It's like put that in and stops the thing just, continually whining and going on and all kinds of stuff. It's the same thing with doing tapping. Quite often people, they get caught up in the story and it's going here and there and everywhere. But while that's while the body is unsettled, the mind is never going to be the solution. So, you know, while you've got an unsettled body reaction, you're not going to find the solution in your mind. So you need to do something with that to settle that energy down. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really helpful.
All right, someone else. Question or issue? We can take it. We've got time to take another volunteer if we want. Claire.
No, I just wanted to say that I really love this. I release the fantasy of various thoughts.
Yeah.
I should do this, or they should be doing this, or all the shoulds.
Oh, yeah. Well, we actually get emotionally attached to that. It's possible for you to create something vividly so that your nervous system experiences as if it's real, and it's not. So, you know, you see something bad happening to someone else, apart from having mirror neurons where you get to feel some of the same feelings, you can also project yourself into it as if it's happening to you, and then suffer it as if it's happening to you. And, you know, I noticed one time they had a cyclone that was going to hit up in Queensland, and they went into this town and they're interviewing people and saying, how do you feel about the fact the cyclone is going to come to your town, you know? And one lady's just totally distraught, and she's crying, and I could see she's looking at an image in her mind, and she's like, and then she describes it. She says, I can just see everything I own being blown away. And I said to my wife, I said, she's having the cyclone a day early, you know? And literally her nervous system is acting as if it's happening to her now.
Right.
And I opened it up. You could see all the stress chemicals being dumped through the system, adrenaline, all kinds of stuff. And guess what? It never happened. The cyclone pretty well bypassed her area. Her stuff never got blown away, but tell that to her nervous system.
Yeah. And also all the shoulds that we have, that we believe that people should be behaving.
Pick one of yours while you're here, since you're here.
Sorry?
Name one.
Sorry?
What's one of your shoulds?
One of my shoulds is that my siblings should write to me and contact me and
my God. Oh.
be in touch with me. And
Yes. Okay. Just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments
to the fantasy.
To the fantasy.
Of the beautiful letter from the siblings.
Of the beautiful letter, of the regular
Yes.
contact.
Regular, beautiful letter.
Beautiful, loving,
warm. Loving siblings.
And I just think they should. Why don't they contact me?
Yes. Yes. So now you do what Byron Katie says. You get to suffer because you believe a thought that differs to reality. Actually, what she says, how do you know what they should do? It's what they're doing.
Yeah, I was thinking of Byron Katie. In fact, it seemed,
Yeah. It's like Jim Rohn says, you know, I used to spend hours thinking liars shouldn't lie. And then I woke up one day and realized, of course liars should lie. That's why we call them liars.
Well.
What a waste of time saying that liars shouldn't lie. You know?
Sure.
Yeah. But that's the logical part of it. The emotional part of it is that you're attached to a beautiful fantasy, which is the happy family, and you get to suffer eternally because your family is never going to measure up to that.
Yeah.
Because there's
I
a
think I can let go of that.
Well, let's see. If you think about, you know, just think the thought, they should write me these beautiful letters.
They should write to me sometimes and see how I am. And
Okay. And when you do that, I see you shaking your head. What thought or feeling do you have?
I don't understand why they don't.
Okay. Okay. So part of you is still fighting with that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To understanding why they don't.
To understanding why they don't. I don't really want to let go.
No, you don't. So just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To finding a way to get them to do what they should do.
Yeah. Because I provoke them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because you got them on a program.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Well, if I let go of that, there's a kind of empty space.
Okay, well, the fear is if you let go of that, that you won't be open to anything nice happening. Or that you'll miss out on the improvement if it happens or something.
I'm just thinking that if I let go of that, they might start writing to me, actually.
Well, that you can't do it that way. You can't fool God into just doing this. It's like, oh, okay, if I stop doing it as a way of getting them to do it, then they know that you're doing that.
No, but I mean, I think that energetically there may be some oppression that they're feeling from
Done
me.
right, because they don't measure up to your thing, and you're trying to force them. And no one does what they should do. They only do what they want to do.
Yeah.
By the way, you don't do what you should do, but you're expecting them to.
Oh, I always do what I should.
Okay, now you're lying to me.
Right. Yeah.
So, Kate, you've written something here. So just keep tapping, Claire. I've just got, Kate, you've written something here, but it came to me privately. Did you want that to be in the group or just to me?
No, I'm happy for it to go to the group. I wasn't sure how to send it out publicly.
Yeah, you can do it to everyone or you can do it specifically to me. But since it came privately to me, I didn't know if you wanted it to be open to everyone. So you said, fantasy idea. I have a client who's wedded to the fantasy that they're being psychically attacked and truly believes this. Well, yeah, first of all, the way that we deal with beliefs like that is instead of opposing them, we go with them.
Yes, no, I think which is what I've been doing.
Yeah. Because if you try and push against someone's belief, you actually force them to defend it. And so, you can encourage them to keep on going with that belief. But while you're doing that, you might make them aware of all the wonderful consequences that come from holding that belief. Okay. So this is what actually happened a moment ago with Claire. She started to see that maybe, this pushing is actually pushing them away. If that makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't, if I was being provocative with Claire, I would say, no, I think you should try harder.
This client's too frightened for that. This client's in real fear.
Okay. Well, the other thing about that, though, is that your client has got you in a headlock.
Yes, and this is which is why I'm asking the question.
So you could just say, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To upsetting my poor, fragile little client.
To upsetting my poor, fragile little client.
Which, by the way, notice how that's the kind of thing that provokes you. See? So anyone who's in that image, you really upset at upsetting that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's always about us, unfortunately.
Of course.
Yeah. So you do treatment for your own needs to be perfectly with her and to help her and all that kind of stuff. And that's not saying that you can't still help her, but the needy part of that, or the scared part of that, or the fragile part of that, or whatever that is, you can let that go. But then again, you just have to be very careful. That's what you believe, right? Because you're nodding vigorously.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do, and I have a high value on safety.
Yeah, and so therefore, that unfortunately can also be a trap for a client that kind of doesn't empower them because you have to foster their fragility. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I realise I'm going a bit around in a circle with this client. I'm not doing the best.
Of course you are. Yes, because you're so worried that she's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Okay, so just release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments
to this client being a fragile China doll?
For this client being a fragile China doll.
Who
Yeah,
I might,
that makes me feel really teary, emotional again.
yeah, because you're worried about shattering her, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're going to destroy her.
I think it's not as strong as destroy, it's just hurt. Don't want to hurt her. Yeah.
Okay. So this is actually, if you just say, release all my emotional attachments
I release all my emotional attachment
to not hurting her.
to not hurting her. Yeah, that's actually ramped it up. I feel even more emotional now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop before I hurt you, see, because that would be bad. And I don't want to destroy you. And, you know, it's just be terrible if you got emotional or upset. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't want to be a brute, you know.
No, I mean, I feel the tapping keeps me safe in this moment.
Well, you're lucky, but the client, you know, faced with your onslaught would probably fall to pieces, you know, because you're so, you know, just scary.
It does feel that. It's a bit like the analogy before of the spinning wheel with putting the spoke in to stop it spinning. I feel like if I destroy this fantasy, I'll pull out the pin and she'll implode.
Yes, she's like, you know, she'll just deflate, you know. She'll just go out of your office like just ooze, you know. It's just like deflated balloon, you know. Like people go, "What happened to you?" She says, "I had a session with Kate, you know. She just destroyed me."
Because this is it's holding us together. This fantasy, in my belief system, I feel it is.
Yes, that's good. Just tell her to, if you could just stay fragile, that will mean that we will have a therapeutic relationship for at least 20 years.
Yeah, and that just feels really wrong. that's not right.
Well, it is, because she needs you. Now, all right, so everyone who's unfamiliar, of course, I'm going with Kate's beliefs and I'm encouraging the negative here, and presumably you're still tapping, by the way, which you said you were.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And so the more I go with the belief that the client is fragile, what thought are you having?
What comes up is that it feels like a real inability to find the right words to reframe this for her, to find a chink in the armor to get in. I feel unable to find the right reframe.
See, notice, by the way, everyone, she's now talking about the reality is that this isn't a China doll at all. This is a massive armor. Okay. Frank Farrelly wrote an essay called the Tyranny of the Weak. Okay. So the tyranny of the weak is that, if I am like this, you have to treat me like this. And therefore, you can't do anything that is, in any way, shape or form going to upset me. And that just keeps them stuck in that solid identity. And the more you identify with that, the more you get to help them, It isn't a fragile China doll. It's, terracotta warrior. They lasted for centuries, for goodness sake.
Yeah, what's coming up now is the classic. I'm not good enough. I can't possibly help her. I can't possibly find a way in.
No, that's right. I'm not saying that was a joke, anyway, but that's okay.
I know.
Just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional
to finding the perfect way.
To finding the perfect way.
To shift her.
To shift her.
Without any hurt feelings.
Without any hurt feelings. Yes, that feels very a congruent thing to to say. Yeah, finding the perfect way. Yeah,
Yeah, without any bad feelings. Yeah,
without any bad feelings. Yeah,
because she can't handle them,
because she can't handle them.
and I can't
Because
handle.
I'm frightened I'd lose rapport with her, and then she wouldn't
Yeah.
trust me and be open with me.
Yes. Uh-huh. All right. Well, I look forward to hearing of your ongoing relationship.
I will let you know, Steve. Thank you.
No worries. Now, Claire, we were actually in the middle of something there, and then we kind of.
Yeah, I was just typing something in for you because talking to Kate, I just had a huge realization about my role in the family, which is the fragile one, and how much anger that could create in my siblings.
Oh, darn
Because-
right. Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
As you were saying, you know...
Because you get to get away with blue murder by being, you know...
Yeah, and they can't say anything to me because that would be horrible.
Yes.
And so the tyranny of the weak, and that's just struck home so strongly.
Well, you're the tyranny of the, you know, everybody should be doing the right thing to me kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. They should be treating me kindly.
Mm.
Huh. I just think it's so wonderful when something that you believed gets shattered.
Well, it's not shattered. Just wait until Monday, you know.
I mean, it's very exciting, and it's, you know, because it means everything can change totally.
What did you say?
No, I said everything can change totally.
What was that again?
Everything
Yeah.
can change totally.
No. Anyway, you don't need to change everything. You just need them to write to you, right?
No, it's really incredible the freedom this is giving me, because it's such a relief not to have that feeling of kind of injustice over my head.
But you have been unjustly dealt with, you know.
No.
The family's just doing the wrong thing. It's so bad of them. You know, they need to be brought to order. Some strong person needs to take them down, you know. The perpetrator has to suffer.
My God, it's so complex, isn't it? It's just it's a
but
backwards and forwards.
that's the thing. See, when I'm the victim, then you know you are the perpetrator, and therefore you are the one that has to change, and I'm, you know, just yeah. And it's our story that we're married to.
Yeah.
You know, I don't always agree with what Tony Robbins does, but I saw him do a session with a guy one time, and he says, what you need to do is you need to divorce the story and marry the truth.
It's quite hard, isn't it? It's quite hard.
Well, yes, maybe, because that's a story too, see? Because you...
No, it's very liberating. It's very liberating.
Well, let's see. I'm going to ask your siblings, you know, you give me their contact and I'll ask them if they got liberated from anything that happened. All right.
Just that the things are not the way they seem.
No, they're not. And the way we're seeing them is because we're stuck. We're stuck in that perspective, you know. And Frank Farrelly taught me, he said, I had this kind of image just come to me in a dream one day. It's like the client is clinging to the prison bars, looking out on the desolate landscape outside, and behind the prisoner there's no walls. And I found that, you know, and you know, I told this to the other group, and I talk a lot about when I did my own tapping on my own values issues, and you know, love is it's my highest value, right? And when I looked at where I learned this, I learned that because a lot of time I didn't feel I was loved and I felt I was unloved. And when I went back on those memories and did tapping on them, I got a shift in perspective, and I felt differently about my dad in particular. And I realized that he did love me. He just couldn't tell me the way I wanted to, or show me the way I thought he should, you know. And I felt better about my old man, but also in my beautiful little family that I have now, you know, with my wife and kids, I felt the love from them like I've never felt it before. And before that, love was my value, but I was very needy. And I was kind of like, you have to tell me you love me, you know, if you really love me, you should be telling me, and all that kind of stuff. That was the needy part of me that was attached to not feeling love, that was still attached to the being a child, not being loved by my dad, you know?
Yeah.
Now I just have something here telling me my internet connection is unstable, so I'm hoping it's going to continue long enough to allow us to keep going. But is everyone still seeing me and hearing me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's
Steve.
hope that that doesn't go down, but so far so good. Was tapping on maintaining a connection, you know? We never know what influence we can have, but it settles us down. That's the main thing. Someone said the only way that you can succeed is to talk gently to the machine, you know, rather than get upset at it. Okay, so let's go back to what I showed you before, and let's just have another look at this, because, oops, hang on, go back to the previous slide. No? Yeah. Okay, so this is the process that I brought up before, and then we started going around and working with people, and this is something I'd like to leave you with as something to take away as a process, and it's worth writing down. Hopefully the recording will work and I'll be able to send this recording and you'll be able to access it. But for now, it's a really helpful process that I've been using for myself and I've been using with some clients. Start out with, okay, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to change? What's your intention? What's your goal? And then set that intention, set that goal. And a real goal says I will. It doesn't say, you know, I want this or I'd like that. It says I will. And so if you frame it in that way, as in a definite I will, then just notice what comes up, you know, what comes up in terms of any objections, any blocking thoughts, any blocking feelings or whatever. Let me just do this for a second. Hang on a sec. Oops, sorry. I was trying to change the, here we go. Just gonna mute you all again for a moment because there's a bit of background noise that might be getting in other people's way as well as me hearing it. Just for a moment and then we'll come back. So set your goal, set your intention, decide what you want, and then decide you're going to have it. There's two decisions, by the way. The first decision is what you want. And, you know, if you have problems with that, then, you know, you can do some tapping and some intentions to free up energy to be able to even think about what you want. And then set your intention to have that. And then notice any blocking, conflicting thoughts or feelings that come up and apply the energy intentions to those and just notice where that goes. And just you can do this willy-nilly on every thought or every feeling that comes up. You know, I release all my emotional attachments to this, and then notice what comes next. And then say I release all my emotional attachments to that, and then notice what comes next. And if it's a feeling, then say I restore the right energy flow to my chest, and then notice what it does and where it goes. And if the feeling is not shifting, you can, of course, use tapping until that starts to move. And then another thought comes, and then you can say, I release all my emotional attachment to this thought. And then just keep doing that until you get to a place where you're either in relative calm or relative clarity, or you feel like it's, you know, it's a bit different. And then go back to your intention and then see if that intention, how it is different. And again, either you will be able to go for it or you'll be more empowered to go for it, or you'll be able to focus on the next part of that. Or you'll need to reset your intention because that original intention wasn't based on your real values and what's really important to you. There's obviously a lot more that you can do with this, but that process I find for a lot of people to be quite helpful. And I'm going to be curious if you do take that away, what you come back with in terms of feedback. So that's what I'd like to leave you with in terms of kind of homework, if you like. And obviously it's up to you whether you do it or not. And because I called it homework, some of you won't do it now, you know, so it's going to take you back to school where, you know, you didn't do your homework or you didn't do what you should do or what you were told to do. But if you want to go for your goals more, then you want to be looking for where your yes is. And ultimately, if it's a yes, maybe, then can that maybe be released, and can you find something which is more towards 100% yes for you and what you really want to do? Now, there's obviously, underneath this, as I said, there are blocking beliefs, and there might also be values conflicts, and some of that you need to do with other people. And this is the great value of working in a group or working with someone else. And if you have the opportunity to work with someone else, I recommend it. I have done a lot of work personally with other people, and hopefully some of that shows, you should have seen me before, for goodness sake. No, I really benefited from working with Frank Farrelly. I've worked with lots of other therapists along the way. He, by the way, is irreplaceable. Since he's passed on, I've had a lot more challenges with things, and had to do a lot more tapping of my own. So yeah, you can do that with someone else. Sometimes you're too close to your own issues, but just try that process out for yourself and see how that goes. And if you do have some feedback on that, I'd love to hear about it. And in future, I'll be offering other programs for those of you who want to go through and work more deeply with those. It seems sometimes like we just get started and then we have to stop, which we're going to be doing that in about 10 or 15 minutes time now. All right, so we still have about let's say 15 minutes. Let's open up the floor again to any questions, comments, reactions, associations, questions about the process, about applying the process for your goals, or anything. You can put your hand up, or you can type something in the chat. What about you, Virya? I'm gonna, this is the thing about, if you don't volunteer, I volunteer you. Thanks for volunteering, Virya.
Thank you. I was going to.
Good.
I was thinking, when do you use the in particular, the fact that you sometimes use the opposite of what the client say to you?
Yeah.
When is it more appropriate, or how do you say, efficient? Or
well, sometimes I'm just testing it. Sometimes I'm just trying the opposite just to see what happens. And sometimes when I do that, I notice that the other side has a much bigger release than this side had. So like, for example, the other day, where I was feeling sad, and I had and then I had the thought to release my emotional attachments to feeling sad. Whereas what I would have done before is to try and find what's making me sad so I can release that so that I won't be sad. Whereas this actually released the attachment to not being sad so I could allow myself to have the sadness move me. And it was the opposite in a way of what I thought I wanted and needed. And this is, by the way, this technique, it's a real danger to start thinking that it's a positive affirmation type process. That you use it just on positives or to create positives. My wife said to me, she said, what it allows me to do is to go to the worst case scenario, which I was never able to do before. Okay. So in fact, it's like tapping works on the negatives, and sometimes the most negative things are the positives.
Yeah. But sometimes as a Kate, I can relate to Kate and say, oh yeah, but maybe this client is too much for him or her. And
yes, you would have done a really good provocative session with Kate, I can tell.
Okay. Don't mention it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all?
Up to now, yes. As usually happens when I'm working and tapping in a group, and it's fantastic how you can relate to each well, it happens to me. I can relate to each and every one.
Yes.
In an expert or such a deep and huge work.
Yeah.
And though I was silent and quiet, I was really tapping hard.
I've often have people write to me. They do this in workshops too. They say, "Oh, I didn't speak up, but I got so much out of all the things that other people did." So I want to say now, while I think of it, thank you to the people who have volunteered, and thank you for volunteering that, by the way, even though I kind of forced you to. Because it is, when people work, it gives us an opportunity to open up areas that are stuck for us, because we're all connected in some way. So I saw you were nodding too, Tracy. I'll just point that out. Yeah, go on.
No, and also something that I can take home, and it really it's important for me, is that one of the last things you said about when you have something you want, it's not enough to want it, but it's a huge step to say I will.
Yeah. So in my workshops, I'll just point out that I work through levels of commitment with people. So the first step actually for some people is they won't even allow themselves to wish it. Even having the wish is hard. So you can apply the tapping to even allowing yourself to have a wish, a secret wish or a hope. And once you're allowed to wish or hope, then can you want it? Are you allowed to want it? You know, of course, wanting is bad and terrible, isn't it? But actually, wanting is the source of all kinds of things that have been created that are good in the world, you know. Okay, being attached to wanting can be a problem, but the wanting is actually part of a drive and an energy, an attraction, a force. And so that's where some energy comes into it. So the wishing is just a wish. But when you're allowed to want, then there's more energy. And you can do some tapping and releasing on allowing yourself to want that. And now, if you're allowed to want it, can you plan for it?
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes people hate planning, or they get upset about planning, or they're not allowed to plan, or you know. But then once you can plan for it, can you then commit and say, I will? And willingness is the bridge that if you're able to get to that, that's where everything happens. Now, a lot of people teach, you know, that you should do affirmations where you go, oh, I am so happy that I am living in my dream house. And your brain goes, no, you're not. You're in a hovel. You're in poverty, you know. And so you get a massive energetic pushback from doing that. The bridge to being able to go to imagine it as real is the willingness bridge. And what I've found, that if people aren't willing to do the things that they need to do, they don't get to go there. So you want to work on yourself of being able to do that. What is the goal, by the way? What's one?
Oh, I want to. I'm on the want to level.
Yeah, that's good.
Exercise 1 hour per day.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I know.
Every day?
Every day. Sunday and Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And Christmas Day?
Of course.
Oh, this is sounding hard. Okay. All right.
It's huge, I know.
How many hours each day on how many days did you exercise in the last 2 weeks?
Well, 1 hour twice a week. But what I want to do is for exercise, I mean, do some physical exercise and some tapping and some work for myself.
Okay.
And what I tend to do is to follow some classes, you know, yoga class or something like that.
Yep.
So that's easy. I paid for it. I go.
Well, most people can make a commitment to something like that. It's easier than just making a commitment to themselves. So that's a strategy that you use to get there. Okay. But the problem with your goal is that it's so easy to break. It is. You could do 100 days in a row and stuff it up on 101st day, you fail.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I've done for
Yeah, it's too easy to
month.
fail. Yeah.
Gone.
You know what? If you actually exercised, if you did 5 minutes each day, it wouldn't be unachievable, and sometimes you could do more. Now, this is
Yes.
a logical approach. Okay, so we're not working on your blocks to doing it, but we are actually breaking down the massive thing into something that's more achievable.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like, I had a lady I worked with, she had to do her dissertation, and she's had the thing sitting in her cupboard for 2 years. I said, okay, what's the first step that you would need, would indicate you'd made an improvement, if we came back together in a couple of weeks? She said, oh, I would have had to find at least 2 whole days to work on it. I said, 2 whole days? When was the last time that 2 days jumped into your calendar and said, I'm available? I said, for you, the first step should be just getting it out of the cupboard. Nothing else. If you get it out of the cupboard, you've done more than you've done the last 2 years. So that was it.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw her 6 months later. I said, how are you going? She said, I finished it. So really, she said, yeah, I did what, I went away from that session. I got it out of the cupboard, and I started thinking, oh, okay, this is, and I started realizing how interesting it was and how much work I had done, and yes, you got momentum from that. So this is why, for a lot of people, that 5-minute thing can lead into an hour some days, but if it doesn't, you still don't fail.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you want, you can say, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments
To the fantasy.
To the fantasy
Of suddenly. Developing an exercise routine.
Developing an exercise routine.
That I follow for 1 hour every single day.
That I follow for 1 hour every single day. Wow. It's like someone is pinching. I've got the image of a mother cat taking the baby cat and scrolling.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
That's what I think you're doing to yourself. But anyway, I just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional
to
attachments.
being in the grip of the mother cat.
To being in the grip of the mother cat. Sort of, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Feeling that's coming up. Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
Just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To leave me alone.
To leave me alone.
So you can just put whatever thought is as you think it. Whatever the words are, whatever the image is, whatever it is, you can put it in there.
Yeah. Oh. A lot of things is coming up. Yeah. It's leave me alone, and at the same time being afraid of being alone.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To being alone.
To being alone. Yeah.
Is that something about like you need to be told what to do? Versus deciding for yourself or something?
No, it's about I've been told so many times what to do.
That's what I mean.
Now
now you want to decide for yourself, but if you do, you might get it wrong or something.
No, it's not that I might get it wrong. It's just that I'm wrong if I do it.
Oh, okay.
I have to stay.
Oh,
I have
okay.
to stay.
All right. So
Sit
just-
there, quiet and silent.
Okay. Just say I release all my emotional attachments
I release all my emotional attachments
to doing what I'm told.
to doing what I'm told. Freedom.
This is what everybody does, by the way, and particularly they do it in relationship to health goals, where they beat themselves up the way their parents did because they've internalized that stuff, and they have the same resistance that they had when they were kids that they couldn't resist when they were kids, but now as adults they can, you know. And
It's a huge relief.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can go dancing, but don't do it for an hour. Only 5 minutes. So now, Karen said, you know, I should have said 10 minutes, not 5 minutes, because then I would give you the health outcomes for 10 minutes. But it wasn't actually about the 10 minutes because it's 5 minutes is easy to do. 10 minutes is hard, you know, or harder. And and is it okay if I read this out, Tracy? It's come to me privately again. So is it okay to read out your chat? What you wrote? I can't see you. Yes? Yeah, okay. She says, Jesus is exhausting. I can relate to so many people's issues. It feels great to not feel abnormal or alone. Well, the only normal people are the ones you haven't met yet, you know? Yes. All right, so we're actually going to put a pause in here, and I'm going to send you away to do your homework or not, you know, depending on whether you want to defy me or, you know, or do the right thing by me or by you or whatever. I'm just going to quickly unmute if you want to. If you want to say goodbye, if you want to say thanks, I want to say thanks myself to everyone who volunteered. Thank you so much for that, and thank you all for turning up. You are unique because most people who registered didn't turn up, and that's the case with a lot of these programs. So thank you for coming. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And keep tapping and keep using the intentions. If you do it badly, it can still work. Okay? All right. So ciao for now.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.